Did I ever tell you about the time back in the day when I actually used to ride horses? Yes, I know. There was a time when I actually rode my horses. I was really into natural horsemanship. I was working really hard and trying to build an incredible bond with my horses and all of that good stuff. My friend Cindy one day calls me up and she's like, "Hey, would you like to go to a hunter pace?" I had no idea what it was. I wasn't into competitions or anything like that. I was literally, this was just pleasure. And I was like, would my horse be able to do it? Like, would Flame be able to do it? She's a quarter horse and I ride her Western. She's like, yeah, yeah, it's just for fun. Like I mean, you don't have to do the jumps. Just come out and go for it. It's like cross country. You'll have a hoot. So I'm like, all right. Now I had been working really hard with Flame for ever since I got her, because when I first got Flame, she had a slight resistance to getting on the trailer. And so that was one of the things I wanted her to overcome, because I did want to take her places. I had these dreams of going to things like hunter paces, even though I didn't know what they were. I wanted to like trailer my horse places and take her for trail rides. Like this is what I always wanted to do. So I had been working really hard. I'm like, yep, we can do this. Flame's good on the trailer now. I had taken her a few places. Like it was good. So Cindy shows up with her new trailer, new to her, not brand new, but new to her. We get Flame loaded up. I think everything's fine. A couple things I didn't notice. One was obviously this trailer was designed for much larger horses than Flame. She was like just a stout little quarter horse, right? But the butt bar of the trailer didn't reach her butt. And this is an important point because at some point before we left, we were getting all their stuff in, our saddles and everything in, and getting everything ready. And Flame decided to try to back up. And when she did not feel the resistance of the butt bar, I think she thought she could actually back out of the trailer. So when she hit the end of the lead rope, she freaked out. She flung her head, and did her head not smash through the window of the trailer? Yes, she smashed through it. I'm talking glass everywhere, blood everywhere. She had cuts all over her face. She's freaking out. And Cindy and I are freaking out. We get her off the trailer. I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened? Cindy's like, I don't know. We obviously we get the vet, all of that stuff. So needless to say, I didn't go to the hunter pace. Um, and vet bills aside, I was extremely disappointed because I had worked so hard to get this horse to be okay with being on a trailer. Fast forward a few months, I'm still doing the natural horsemanship stuff. We were doing natural horsemanship days where my horse mentor Greg would come, and there was about 4 or 5 of us that we all played these horsemanship games. And one of the obstacles, if you will, on the horse playground was a trailer. And it was just to practice our horsemanship skills, getting our horses on and off trailers. So I went over, it was my turn. I went over and I turned to him. I said, you should probably just leave me be, and this is going to take a while. So he does. He goes on to the other obstacles. He's helping everyone else, but I'm there for a long time. I'm pretty sure somebody must have like complained, like Tracy's hogging the trailer. So Greg makes his way back over and he's like, hey, buddy, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't know. She's just not going to get on the trailer, And I explained what happened and whatnot. And he's like, do you mind if I try? So I'm like, sure, sure. Hand him the lead rope. Flame gets about like halfway up the trailer ramp, which is about as far as I got her. She stops. She starts to balk a little bit. Greg takes the friendly stick and he's just doing this rhythmic tapping, just tap, 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 tap on her butt. And does Flame not just turn around, look at him, and then, no word of a lie, walked on the trailer like she had been doing it her whole life. Just literally head down, walked on the trailer, stood there like it was nothing. I was like, what just happened there? And he said, Tracy, I think she's been playing you a little bit. I don't think she has as big of a fear of this trailer as you think she does. And I was like, what is that? So I'm like, can I try? I take her off the trailer. I go to proceed to get her on the trailer. She gets to the same point. He's like, just tap her. Just keep on. No emotion. Just keep tap, tap, tapping. Sure enough, she walks on the trailer. I got her to get off the trailer and on the trailer about 17 times because I was like, are you kidding me? I tried it one more time. She was just like, finally, she was like, I'm bored of this trailer game. Let's move on. And I was like, I have been spending months trying to get this horse on the trailer. What was actually happening? So that massive setback, gave me some things to think about for sure moving forward. And I wanted to share that story because I'm sure if you are someone who has been working with your dog, especially your fearful dog, your fear reactive dog, and you've been doing all the things, I know you don't even have to tell me. I know you've had setbacks. I know you've had plateaus where it just doesn't seem like things are progressing, or even things that have gone, 10 steps backwards, or something happens and you're like, this is going to set me so far back. I know this is you. And I wanted to share today's topic, which is overcoming those setbacks. I'm going to give you the step by step plan to keep you and your dog moving forward. Let's get into it. Are you worried that your fearful dog may hurt someone or something else? Do you have to prepare just to take a walk around the block? Hi, I'm Tracy, and I too had that dog. The one that you could only walk at nighttime when no one else was around. And I felt ashamed, and oh gosh, I wish that people could just see the dog that I know and love. I wanted the confidence to be able to walk my dog and not have to worry about who or what was around the corner. And I kept telling myself that if I just keep doing obedience drills and distracting with treats, that things would get better. Until I found the secret. Fear is not something that you can train out of a dog. In this podcast, you will find tips to help build your dog's confidence naturally, communication and understanding to foster that trust, and how to address those fear-based behaviors effectively so that you can enjoy a stress-free life with your dog. So if you're ready, stop chopping those chicken wieners, grab your notebook, and let's get to it. Hello there, my dog-loving friend. It's Tracy. I'm so glad that you are here with me today. I was reminiscing this story actually the other day with Flame. I was in the field and I called her over and she looked at me and was like, nah. And I was like, classic Flame. Classic Flame. Flame is still with me. She is 30. She's 30 years old right now. So she is retired, 100% retired, and 100% loving, doing whatever she wants. She comes when she wants. She leaves when she wants. She does what she wants, and she's earned it, But Flame and I have had quite a journey together. I think some of my happiest moments in my life involve Flame, and I owe so much to this horse. She has helped me in my adult life fulfill some childhood dreams that I had. This is going to sound so dramatic. When I was a wee poor child, I had dreamed of doing horse shows and whatnot. My friend got to do horse shows, and I would sit on the bleachers and I would watch her get to do the fun things because she was, in the pony club and I couldn't afford it. And I dreamed about it. And so as an adult, when I got my horse, I was like, I want to be able to trailer my horse. And I did. I got to go to a fall fair and I got to do a thing, not show jumping or anything like that. But anyway, I digress. The point is, Flame and I have been through a lot. And my journey through natural horsemanship, if you didn't know this about me, if you're new to me, hi, I'm glad you're here. But if you're new to me, a lot of the work that I do with fearful dogs stems from the work that I did with horses, because horses being prey have a prey like mind. But believe it or not, dogs, even though dogs are predators, if you have a fearful dog, they can behave like prey. And so the work that I did with horses has really helped shape a lot of the programs and a lot of the stuff that I talk about here on this podcast. So I want to share this setback story with Flame, the story of months gone by of me not progressing because of this incident that happened that I thought for sure was going to set us back. And it did, but not because of the horse. It did set us back, but not because of the horse. So I first want to talk about, what do setbacks really mean? Because setbacks and plateaus, believe it or not, are 100% normal, right? They are actually part of the journey. They're part of the experience. Plateaus, where we stay stuck for a little bit, setbacks, all of these things are an essential part of the journey. And they're going to be, once you sort of reframe it in your mind, they're going to be an essential part of building trust and understanding with your dog. We just have to start to normalize them a little bit more. So rather than let them really knock us down and make us feel like we're failing or whatever. We need to go, you know what? This is expected. This is normal. And I want you to really, really internalize what I'm about to say next, because this is what was the turning point for me. Is this idea that setbacks are not failures, but feedback. Let me say that again. Setbacks are not failures, they're simply feedback. This is feedback from your dog. It's a way for you to actually take a moment and actually stop and think, okay, what's going on here? If this isn't working, what's going on here? It's sometimes a way for our dogs to actually tell us what's going on. And a lot of times we get ourselves caught up in the negative self talk about what's going on and the feelings of, oh my gosh, everything. We catastrophize everything. We're set back. And now I'm going to go back to the beginning. First of all, you're never going to go back to the beginning. Okay. If you've come this far, you're never going to go back to the beginning. You've developed skills. You've increased your skill set on how to understand your dog and how to and the things that you need to do to help your dog. You've gotten better. So you're never back at square one. Always keep that in mind. All right. But let's talk about, I would say I'm going to put here 3 of the common reasons for setbacks. Why do setbacks happen? First and foremost, I will say setbacks can occur because of the story that you tell yourself. And that's exactly what happened with Flame and I, right? As soon as that horrific event happened, and it didn't help that the window broke on the trailer and it resulted in her cutting up her face and the blood. Oh, the blood. So much blood. It immediately put into my head, oh man, this is going to set us back so far. Like now she's going to be traumatized by before she just didn't really like the trailer. Now she's going to be traumatized by the trailer. But that was a story in my own head. I had made that up. I actually didn't ask Flame. I didn't even ask her at the moment. I mean, well, we wouldn't have asked her at the moment. We had to have the vet come and fix her up. But I didn't even ask her. Like, I wasn't like, hey, how do you feel about this trailer now? I literally was like, she's going to hate that. And then I approached my trailer work with trepidation. That was all me. That was 100% on me. So sometimes it's the story that we tell ourselves. Sometimes it's the story of the dog that we tell ourselves and others. And I've mentioned this before, but if you have recently adopted your dog or rescued your dog and it came with a sad story, sometimes it's the story that you're telling. It's your dog's story that you're telling, which is why I always tell people, if your dog has a sad story, be sure to never tell it again. Don't speak of it again. From here on in, you're going to tell the new story, the story of your dog's life with you, right? That's, I would say, probably one of the best reasons, or one of the number one reasons why we get setbacks. Number 2, setbacks can happen if we're going too far too fast, right? And this also is something I see quite often with newly adopted dogs or rescue dogs. We are pushing too far too fast. Some of it comes from a place of, oh my gosh, we feel so bad because they were in the shelter system for so long. And now we just want to give them all this freedom. Go see all the things and do all the things and see all the people, meet all the people and run all the dogs. And we want to show you what a great life you're going to have. And if you have a slightly unconfident dog, that's going to be way too much, too far too fast, right? Remember, we don't want the dog to see all of those things at first. What do we want the dog to see? We want the dog to see you as the source of guidance and predictability and calmness and leadership. We want them to think that you are the most important thing in the entire world and everything's okay as long as you're there, all of that good stuff. So we want that. So that's number 2. And then number 3, and this is one that I'm going to go a little bit deeper into today because I think it's one that we don't often think about, is that there could be hidden triggers that you don't see. And in particular, I'm talking, this is in particular for my fearful dogs. So I want you to sort of, again, get yourself into the mindset of your fearful dog. Remember that for a fearful dog, they're in survival mode. They're going to be doing checks all the time. What is this? Is it going to kill me? Oh my God, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Oh, okay, that didn't kill me. They're constantly in this state of survival. What's the word I'm looking for? assessing everything around them. Is that going to kill me? What is that doing? Does that move? Is that going to, all of that sort of stuff. But what happens is once they start to get the, oh my God, I'm going to die. I didn't die moment, that layers on top of one another. They start to go, okay, things in this environment are good. Like I'm safe here in this environment. But the moment that something changes, they have to reset everything because now it's different. Okay. This is one of the reasons why if you have a dog that is fearful or unconfident of people, and you have people come to your house and you're like, okay, the dog went over and sniffed everybody and the dog was barking at first, but now they've settled, they're lying in their bed, and then somebody gets up and they go to the bathroom. How dare they? When that happens, something changed. That person who was previously sitting, right, at that level, the dog was like, when you're sitting down, I'm okay. I don't feel threatened. But when you stand up, now you've changed things. Now we've got a whole different game. That's one that's a little bit more obvious, but here's some things that maybe we didn't think about. So, thresholds. Let's talk about thresholds for a second. And this is something from, I have horse mentors and I have dog mentors. So, my dog mentor, Nelson Hodges, is one that really helps me sort of think outside of the box and all of the little nuances that sometimes we miss. So, credit to Nelson for this one. But I was sitting in on one of his recent lectures, and he was talking about thresholds. And we know that thresholds are a change, right? Threshold is the space between one environment to another. So the obvious thresholds are doorways, right? Doorways into rooms, doorways from the inside, the outside. Those are like big thresholds. And we know that when we move or change or pass through a threshold, that threshold is unknown to your fearful dog. So they come from an environment like the inside where they've assessed everything and they're like, I'm okay. But passing through that threshold into the outside is the great unknown. And now they have to do it again. Now they have to go over everything again because things could kill me out here, right? I got to assess all the threats. What's over there? What's moving? What's doing? They have to do it all again. But what you might not realize is thresholds go a layer deeper. And they can be something as simple as shadow to light or light to shadow. And we don't often think about those things. But if, let's say, your dog is in the bright light and then they move to the shadow of a tree, that's actually a threshold. Things change for them because of that. And it's funny when he was talking about that, getting back to horses. Now, this goes back actually to my very first horse. My very first horse when I was a kid was given to me. I know I just made that story about how I was a poor girl, but I did have a horse. I just couldn't afford to go to the pony club. But she was an ex-racehorse. And one of the things that I love to do is to run this horse. I lived out in the country. There was hardly anybody around back then. And I used to run her down the back roads. And one of the things that I always thought was so much fun was my horse's name was Tune. And she would jump over the shadows of the hydro poles. So whenever we were running down there, I didn't know what she was doing at first. It was just a little jump, but she would literally she'd be racing and then she'd do a little jump and I'm like, she's jumping shadows. And then it became the most fun game for me because I would run her down the road and I would pretend like I was show jumping. I would be like, I could get in the position and everything and jump over these shadows. And I would imagine myself being in the show ring, jumping my horse. Anyway, my point is my horse thought that was something to be jumped over, right? So shadows to light is actually a threshold that we maybe don't recognize. And so there are probably lots of little tiny triggers in the environment that have changed that perhaps you didn't notice. So lots of times if we have a setback, let's say we're like, I don't understand, my dog has always been able to go into this room and now they're balking at going into the room. That could be something as simple as someone moved a light or a light's dimmed or a light died out or there's a different shadow in the room that has changed the dog's perspective And now they're resetting. They have to go back to, oh my God, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. And they have to refigure things out. They have to go through their natural fear cycle. They have to recalibrate for this change in the environment. And until we sort of stop and take pause, we might not recognize that. We just look at it as a setback. Oh man, the dog's just not getting it, right? and we take it out on ourselves. So let's talk about practical tips. Practical tips that we can do to help that. What do you need to do to change that? First of all, you know me. What am I going to say? The first thing that we're going to do, anytime our dogs, it feels like a setback, our dogs aren't progressing, we're going to say the 2 words. If you know me, say it out loud with me. How interesting. Yes, my favorite phrase. I want you to say how interesting. How interesting gets our brain out of that judgment, that shame, that blame game that we constantly do, and it gets our mind inquisitive. We want to actually get our mind inquisitive. I want you to start looking at it like, how interesting. My dog's not walking into this room. I wonder why. Did something change? I even get so inquisitive that I'll get down at their level. Sometimes if I have a dog that's balking at that, I'll just sit at their level and just kind of look around and be like, what changed for you here? Did something change? And you'll be surprised. First of all, if you do that, your dog's going to sit down with you and be like, thank you. You're noticing things, right? But I want you to say how interesting. Get inquisitive. Take a pause, right? Because that's my next tip. After how interesting, I want you to pause, observe, reflect, and then listen. Just sit there and be quiet and be still and observe and see. And finally, I want you to actually temper your expectations. I want you to really internalize this idea that setbacks and plateaus are not failure, they're feedback, right? So give yourself some grace, give your dog some grace, take the time. This is your cue to take a step back and take a look and be reflective. And I want you to know that although I say these things and I say, don't just make sure that be okay with setbacks, I know that they're frustrating and I get that, but I need you to know that you are not alone. Okay. This is a shared experience amongst dog lovers everywhere, especially those of us that are working with fearful dogs or reactive dogs. So I need to remind you that you always have a safe place to go and talk about this. And that's the free Facebook group. If you're not a member of Living Beyond Obedience, please be sure to join us there. And we have there'll be posts where we're going to vent our how interesting moments, right? We're going to vent them. We're going to share our how interesting moments, but we'll even have vent sessions. And if you are really struggling and you're looking for someone to talk to, just reach out. Reach out either in the group, reach out to me. I'm sure we're pen pals by now. You can reach out to me and say, Tracy, this has just been really hard. I'm really struggling right now. Not only is this a setback, I feel like I'm starting over. If that's you and you're really feeling it, again, join our community because there is so many dog lovers like you that are struggling as well. And we're here for you. Okay. So there you have it. Now, as I mentioned, I want you to be in that Facebook group because you need a supportive community. You can always email me. But if you are someone that is really struggling, say perhaps you're like, how do I see these unseen hidden triggers? And you want some help with that, I need you to consider coming and joining us over in the Fearful Dog. The Fearful Dog is our online student community, our program. And we meet once a month for Q&A, but you can post your questions, you can post your videos, you can have all the support you want there. A little bit extra if you need it over in that community. All right. So there you have it, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, be sure to share it with other dog lovers like you and me. Maybe it's a message that they need to hear. If you know someone that's struggling with their dog right now, feeling like they're in a setback, send this to them. And hey, if you're on Apple and you enjoyed this episode, could you do me a favor and just take a moment and leave a 5-star written review? It really does help push the podcast out to more and more people, and it lets me know that you're liking the content. And as always, get out there today and be the person that your dog thinks you are, because your dog thinks that you're amazing. And so do I. Have a great couple days, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now. Oh, and one more thing. This podcast is meant for entertainment and education purposes only and should never replace the advice of hands on professional training. If you are really struggling with your dog, please be sure to reach out to a professional in your area. All right, I think that's it. Bye for now.